What if I told you that you could get 5 distinct sounds out of your snare drum without even changing the tuning? The truth is, you absolutely can with a little creativity. Today we're taking a 6.5 by 14 inch snare and we're seeing how versatile it really is. Before you go out buying extra snare drums, see what you can do with the one you've got. Hey everybody, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. This is a channel that's all about giving you the non-glamorous tips and topics of the trade to teach you the drumming skills that really matter to help you become a better drummer. If you're new to the channel, I really hope you'll subscribe. Let's get started with our first snare sound, which is just the typical, we'll say normal home-based snare sound. So yeah, there wasn't really anything special about that one, but I want to give you a good idea of just what the snare sounds like with its normal sound, with its kind of medium tuning, average snare tension, something like that. And so that's our first sound, and we'll go from there. Our second one is the concert snare sound. So the wallet on the top as muffling just kind of came about as a thing that we would always do in college, playing in orchestra and wind ensemble and stuff like that. Whoever was playing snare, or whoever was first on snare at the rehearsal would slap the wallet on there to deaden out the head so there's no ring, so it's just that crisp attack, which is usually what you want with a concert snare. It's also really important with that sound that you've got the snares very tight, because you want it to be a very crisp sound, not a wet, sloshy kind of sound. But you also don't want to tighten the snares too much because you want to still have that snare definition even when you're hitting very quietly. This next one is just the quick, easy, deep ballad snare. So as you can see there, I didn't change the tuning at all. That was the point of this video, that we're not changing any tunings at all. These are just quick things you can do between songs on a gig to totally, maybe even drastically alter the sound of the snare. So I just slapped an extra head cutout on there. I cut that out from an old 14-inch head that was pretty beat up. So it just lays on top. So you get a little bit of slap from the fact that you're hitting an extra head on there, but it immediately lowers the pitch a lot because it's pretty heavy. It's a thick extra head on there. And I also had the snares really loose there, as you could tell. That's an important part of this sound. I think it's kind of, this sound ends up being kind of weird if you do the snares too tight. It works best with loose snares. We'll do something with tight snares up next. So this next one is like the short dead snare. Check it out. So the interesting thing about that one was that you noticed it wasn't as deep sounding as the one where we threw the head cutout on there. And that's because the thicker or the heavier the material is you put on the drum, the more it's going to lower the pitch. So when you've got this tiny, super thin bandana and you stretch that over, really all it does is deaden it. It doesn't really lower the pitch much at all, compared to if you've got a thick head or if you were to lay some other piece of plastic or a few pieces of paper on the drum. So really the trademark of this sound is the tight snare. So you've got the deadness, the tight snare, so it's this really quick, tight sound that works great for fast grooves. You could definitely try loosening the snares for this one, and that would just give you something different. I really like this one with the tight snares. This last one's kind of interesting. You guys can tell me what you think in the comments. I don't really have a name for it. It just kind of came about on a gig one time when I needed this type of sound. I'll tell you a little more about it in a minute. Check it out. Basically, I was on a gig and we were playing a song that had like a drum loop kind of thing in the beginning. Whether or not it was acoustic or electronic drums, I don't know, but it was kind of like a muffled drum thing that was sort of distant sounding, a lot of reverb on it. So I thought, well, what can I do to kind of pull off this vibe here? I had this extra old t-shirt that I had with me, a fairly thick t-shirt, pulled that over. That was exactly the sound I was looking for. So that's kind of been my go-to for this kind of thing. Although you could definitely do it with the bandana also, or a towel if it's something even thicker or deader. And so really the thickness of the cloth just determines how much of the resonance or the deadness you've got. So I like this sound with the t-shirt. That kind of brings us to a wrapping up point that these techniques are really cool and they work best in a mic situation where you've also got a sound engineer who's helping to emphasize what you're doing and who's on the same page with you. And so if you're saying, okay, I'm going for this dead sound, then he can help you with that. Or you're going for this big resonant snares off sound, well, he can add some reverb and help you with that. Now, it's not to say you can't do it if you're playing in a small room without mics, because I've definitely done that. I've probably used all these on a small room gig also, where there's not even mics on the kit. You can still do it, it's just not as big of a difference between them. So really, anytime you can mic them, whether you're recording or playing in a larger room and you've got the sound guy there, you can make a big deal out of each of these. Do this at home, experiment, try with any snare you've got, see what kind of results you get. So I'm eager to hear your input, your feedback on these sounds and on things that you've tried. So let's get a conversation going in the comments below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and subscribers, thanks for watching my videos and for commenting and liking and sharing and emailing, all the good stuff you guys do. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I really hope this video helped you out. Maybe gave you some cool sound ideas to make your snare work if you do only have one snare. And I hope the whole non-glamorous drum thing helps inspire you to work on the drum stuff that really matters, that'll really help you grow in your skill. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. I will see you next week.